Hello, welcome to a little introduction to Quixel Mixer 2018.2.4.0 beta. Now, in this video, I'm going to go over some of the basic things to get you started. Initially, you'll see maybe some sample mixes, but you might want to import your own things and make your own mix-ups so that you can sell your own mix-ups. And anyway, let's get started with that. So first you want to start a new project. And let's call it My Mix. Okay, and then we can say open. Oh, let's do new mix. Sorry, new mix. So let's do mix 1. We don't know what it is yet, but let's change the. Make sure you've got this on metalness. Specular is sometimes used, but metalness seems more common. And a working resolution, 1024 is normally good, but you might want to go 2048. I've got a decent PC, so I'm going to stick on 2048. If you're on a laptop that's not high spec, maybe 1024 is better for you. This can always be up-resed when you're exporting, so don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. On the note of up-resing on export, you can change this. So if you're working in 1024, you can change this to the export resolution you want. So just in case you're wondering where that was. Okay, so to import your own materials, you can go to your library here and import custom surface. Now, this auto-populate is quite important. If you want to quickly load everything in one go, you have to make sure you name things correctly with diffuse, albedo, or specular. And that is, so you could have like your texture could be like grass underscore specular, grass underscore albedo, grass underscore cavity, grass underscore gloss, and so on. And with auto-populate, it will automatically find those file names and populate them. So let me see if I can find something that I made before. So diffuse, what have I got? So here's some rocks that I downloaded by the looks of it. Okay, so diffuse or albedo, that's this one. And let's just see how it auto-populates things. So it's found cavity, it's thrown metalness into displacement. So things like this you need to watch. And it's loading these maps in. I think they're quite high resolution, got 8K texture maps. So it's going to take a little while. Okay, so the metalness I'm not worried about. I can always reduce that and it's good enough for now. I don't think there is a metalness. Got roughness and I got specular. So metalness doesn't really matter. So I can just click that and do delete. I'll just click on something else and that's that. So there we go, I've imported a custom material based on these names. So if you've got your own material, then make sure you've got all these names. So go to next, I'm going to call this rocky surface. And normally you leave this at 2 meters by 2 meters. That's kind of average size of a texture scan. You know, if you're looking down at the ground, you're going to look a meter to the left, a meter to the right in your peripheral vision mainly. So you're not going to look at a big wide area. If you're making a more detailed texture that needs to cover more area, then you will have to mix a little bit more and think about the overall scaling of your texture. So you might want to tile it a couple of times. But you do all that inside the editor. So the height you can also adjust here for some kind of extra detail. Tags, I'm going to give it rock, R-O-C-K, and stone, I guess. Okay, that's good enough. So import, category, of course. So let's do that, rock, import. Okay, so it's imported these textures and you'll see that they're not here, right? But they are in my local library. So there we go. Just clicked on that and it should bring it in as a layer. I'll do that once again. That was a little bit quick. So let me just make sure it's doing something in the background here. So we just need to wait. There we go. So if you got your layers, local library, and then if you click on whatever it is you want, it's going to bring that in. Now I think this is actually an existing material from the Quixel Mixer, site, so the Megascan site. It looks like one of their ones that I've just downloaded a different way, but that's all good. You can bring in your own scans the same way, so let me see if I can find one of my own and do the whole process again. So import custom surface, and instead of auto-populate, I'm just going to go and find some files. Let's see what I've got texture-wise. Storage, textures. Okay, here's a slate one. Alright, so this has got a whole bunch of things. I'm just going to click this and copy it so I don't lose track, because I'm going to cancel out here, because I want to click this auto-populate to see what happens. I'm going to open. Yep, I lost track, so I'm just going to paste that address that I copied and click the albedo, and it should again detect. That's quite a nice surface. Got roughness, AO, normal, height, metalness. Okay, so it's done a good job of detecting everything, and diffuse instead of albedo. That's okay, it's the same difference. I'll call this rock rough, and again 2 meters is fine. You might think the detail would cover less of an area for something like this, so I could say 1 meter, but I'm just going to keep everything at 2 meters because I know that I can tile things within Mixer. I'm just going to put this to a happy amount. I tend to slide things up and down until I feel I hit a sweet point, kind of bouncing. It's a good method to find what you want. Okay, so tag will be rock. Oh, I've already got rock there. Okay, that's fine. Category rock. Okay, import. So that's another custom material added to my library, and I just click on it and there it is. So like before, you can tile this with the repetitions. So I might want 2 repetitions for this, and now you can either picture this as like some kind of landscape, and you can see that it's very waxy looking, so you can bring certain things down, or you can increase like the high frequencies to make it more noisy. You also want to tile it a bit more if it's going to be used in a bigger scale. But anyway, let's pretend this is just going to be some ground area. Now, it does look very mountainous, so you can change these high frequencies and the low, and it's looking more like ground you would walk on now. Changing the opacity a little bit will also affects basically every channel: the height, the roughness, metalness, and gloss, and all that stuff. It's just a case of messing about with these until you get something you like. If you do wrap to base, what's going to happen is it's going to lose its own normals and the height details rather, and start to mimic what's below it. So wrap to base mimics more of the shape below. You can see this crack here, and then when I take it away, take away that wrap to base, and if I was to disable this, there's nothing to wrap to, so it's got to be enabled for it to work. So you could do wrap to base, and you could also do like preserve details or change the opacity. So again, wrap to base is also affected by what's below it. It's basically just wrapping some of the details to what's beneath, and you need to sort of experiment with it a little bit. Okay, so you can do from above. From above basically projects this onto that as if it's coming from above, it means it's gonna keep its or is it going to lose? I think it's going to lose its details based on what's below it, and then from below it keeps its own details but coming through from the ground. So you can see it as I increase this, it's coming through from the ground with its own details, and the wrap to base also keeps it wrapped to the one below it. So if I take that away, that's its own thing coming through. Can change the frequency of things. So high frequency is small details and low frequency is large details. Kind of like the bass wave of music is a big wider wave, and high frequency music is a smaller wave. So high frequency in music terms, it's like high pitch and low pitch. So big bass waves and small tweeter waves, what do you call it? Anyway. So that's the threshold from below. From above means it's coming from above. See, like so, and then you can change, like radius is based on the height, I'm pretty sure. So you'll see like the higher things are, the less it's affected. Okay, and you can also muck about with the frequency below. Get something. You've also probably seen someone flood everything with a single color, so you can do like add a solid layer, and then you might want the color to be some kind of sandy tone like that, and then you're going to wrap that to the base, and then you can change the opacity of it, and that way you can kill some of this harshness between these two landscapes. So if I take that away, you can see that this is all kind of mixing in, but with this it helps just create it's almost like a sandy surface. Now these lines here, they don't help sell this as a landscape, because you'd think this is some kind of unnatural phenomenon, or someone's drove up here in a car or something. So it does bring it back to how big is this. If you don't like this rocky surface being so like these lines in it, you could try change some of the frequencies until that goes away. Maybe some offset or rotation might not really help it. Oh, there's a new feature. They've got rotation going any angle now. I think before it was to fixed angles, but now we've got, you can see where that breaks though. You can see it breaks at the corners there because there's nothing in the texture to repeat, so it's just, so you have to be careful with that. But before it used to be fixed angles like 0 and 45, because with these angles it can tile perfectly, but when you start to like offset off these, and you can see they've done a kind of bleeding effect there, so it just carries on the color, then you would in theory cover that up. So let me just duplicate by doing Control D and drag this up to the top, and then from above, threshold, right, might want to do wrap. Oh, maybe from below then. Don't want it to. Maybe I don't want it to wrap at all. Okay, that's interesting. You can see that one of the reasons they have not introduced this is because of this strange phenomenon. And oh, what have I done? I'm pretty sure there's a way to get rid of that. Now you could paint a mask, so I could do like add a paint layer. Is that a paint layer I want? Maybe not. I need to maximize this screen so I can see these masks. But if I paint, like add this and I clear it. Okay, this is a little tricky. Go back on there. Right. Invert mask. And if I paint with white, I think I'll be able to paint out, there we go, some of this area is what I want to do. So you see where this is mixing, and I'm just going to turn off the tiling so I know where I'm supposed to work. So I can see a little bit here. I'm just going to click a few times just to get rid of that noise. There's a muddy concrete one. You can see these little profiles. To load your own alphas, you can, I think so you hover over this as a little folder appears. So you can add a brush, and I don't know if I have any alphas kicking around. Let's see, muddy concrete. Oh, let's see natural. Let's see what this becomes. All right. So I've got this. Oh, got this one. And there's the profile of it. I can change the spacing and the size and stuff. Yeah, there we go. I think it's quite a low detail texture, that's why it's shown up this way. But so that's basically how I would do that. Is if you're gonna rotate this in a weird way, then you're gonna want to cover up that patch somehow. See, eventually I can get rid of that line if I keep tapping on it. So it looks like it's a new thing they've introduced where you can rotate to any angle, but it does create this edge bleed. So just be wary of that. The way they had it before is this was locked to kind of 45 degrees, so that would be 0, 1, and 2. But now it's this whole thing, and you can't really undo this, so be careful. If I scale it, I can also scale it. Oh, and it's a uniform, it's a non-whole number scaling as well. So this used to be, I think this used to be whole numbers as well, like number of tiles you could tile something had to be a whole number. Oh yeah, and I've added this. Okay, a few new things. Best to play it safe with this. Oh, it's loading the textures again because I changed the scale. But basically, you're gonna import your own things, layer them up, and solid color is going to be, from below or from above. To change certain thresholds, you can change this radius. It's a kind of fall off. Preserve any details, the opacity. From below, it's going to affect lower areas. You can see it's affecting the ground more, and you can change the threshold of that. And the radius is a soft fall off. Preserve any details. Just anything that, I guess it means like any sort of small noise details. You can also go back and change like the frequencies here. And eventually you can get a surface that's kind of unique by the time you layer all these up. But I guess I've just been thrown off with this one with the new features. because you can see this apparent line. So just be careful with these offsets and things, because I'm only ever used to it being whole numbers. And change that back there. Let's go back to where this all got broken. I think I broke a few things. This especially. Change that to 0. Okay, that looks fine. And there you go, there's a tileable texture. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything unclear, please ask a question. I'll try and cover it. I'm fairly new to this, so I'm good for anybody that's not really getting anything, like, you know, where can I find my scans? You have to go online, you have to sign in, and you'll find any scans that you've bought. I don't think I'm signed in here, but there's all this free stuff, or no, it's asking me to sign in. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Once you've gone online and you've bought something, you should be able to download it, and it will become available in your library, and then you just simply click on it and it will become a new layer. You can see it's coming in here, and I think it comes in the layer above what you have selected. So if you want it to be above everything, just let it, move it to the top and muck about with your frequencies and high and low, your threshold, from below and from above. It's good to get used to these because they're kind of hard to explain what they're doing, but I guess it's like a projection method. You know, is it hitting the high points from above? Is it based on radius? It's hard to say, so you'll have to just experiment, you know, wrap to base and all these things to see what it's doing. And then if you want to add water, just add a liquid layer and you can change the threshold of that. So that's basically where that lives, and also the radius in which it starts to fall off. That makes it look more muddy as opposed to a kind of clean cut rainy day. So if you want it more muddy and swampy, you just bring that up. It's also preserved some details at the edges, and you can change the thickness of the water with this and the depth of it. So if it's quite clean water, the depth's going to be quite low, like quite shallow. You can see the base, and if it's quite deep, you're not going to see the base anytime soon. And there's threshold there, radius and blur for extra control. You get a gloss offset in case you want it to be less shiny water. You can darken it a bit as well. Change the colour. You know, if you want it to be toxic water or paint, just apply that. If you want it to be more kind of oily, add a metallic tone and the gloss amount, in case you want it to not basically reflect at all and it just look like nothing in particular. But you get the idea. Just experiment with all your settings. You're not going to break the program, and if you do, you can report a bug, and well done you for fixing something for everyone. But yeah, just have fun with it. There's my kind of beach, wet beach, crazy texture. Thanks for watching. Bye.